Hello, everyone. My name is Suzanne Sangiovese, and I'm the Commercial and Communications Director at Riskline, a travel risk intelligence company. Riskline has more than a decade of experience working remotely as a geographically distributed team, and today we operate in more than 12 countries and across 9 different time zones. With our global team, we thought we'd try something new and take a deeper look at a local perspective on the COVID-19 pandemic. This morning, I'm speaking with Aaron Kunaraja, the Senior Analyst for the APAC region at Riskline. Aaron currently resides in Kuala Lumpur and was planning to move to Melbourne before travel restrictions were put in place. Aaron, hello, how are you?
Hi, Suzanne, I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So what's it like right now in Malaysia for you, and how are you and your family doing with what's been going on?
So my wife and I are doing well at the moment. In Malaysia right now, we are under what's called a movement control order, which is what the government calls it. But it's essentially a lockdown. It's been in place since 18th March, and they've extended it twice already. Under this lockdown, foreign nationals are not allowed into the country, and Malaysians are not allowed out. So flights have been grounded. We are only allowed to go out to buy essential products such as groceries, and they've recently implemented a rule where only one person is allowed to go out from each household, or at least one person in the car. So if you have like 2 or more people, you can be fined or even arrested. So they have set up like checkpoints all over the country, especially in major cities like Kuala Lumpur, where the infection rates are the highest. No gatherings of any sort are allowed across the country. Restaurants remain open only for takeaways and deliveries. Public transport is running on limited hours. To get the measures have been implemented, including not allowing cars on the road past 8 p.m. now. So there's a sort of like enhanced measures in certain areas where there have been like a high number of cases reported. So like certain apartment blocks, for example, are under complete lockdown. So no one is allowed in, no one is allowed out, and food gets, the government provides like food for them to be delivered to them. So yeah, at the moment, I think there are almost like about 5,000 over cases with almost 80 deaths in Malaysia. So it's not too bad compared to like a lot of other countries, but still like our testing hasn't been as good as some other like countries, like for example, Australia or South Korea, for example. But I think the authorities are saying that the curve is flattening for now. Yeah.
Wow, well, let's hope it keeps up and flattens even more.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, you were planning to move to Melbourne, Australia right before the pandemic occurred and travel restrictions were put in place. What's the effect been on you? And do you know if officials will honor your visa that's already in place?
Yeah, so we were supposed to move, my wife and I were supposed to move to Melbourne in late March. But yeah, the pandemic has thrown a wrench into all our plans. I assume it's the same for lots of people worldwide. So yeah, a few days before we were supposed to fly off, Malaysia implemented the lockdown and basically stopped everyone from leaving. And a few days after that, Australia closed its borders. So it was something I should have expected given the rapid spread of the virus and how governments were like constantly updating restrictions as the pandemic progressed. But when you are affected, when you are directly affected by it, it is quite disheartening at the initial stages, because this has been something I've been looking forward to like for a while now. It's been months in planning, but so far like there hasn't been any major cost, like financial cost for us. So the airlines have been very accommodating, and we are basically allowed to change our flights at no extra cost towards the end of the year. So I haven't yet decided when I will be going, but hopefully sooner rather than later once the borders reopen. And our visas for now are not affected because they are valid until the end of 2024. So that's still a long way away. So there's no, in that sense, there hasn't been as much impact. Yeah.
Well, that's good. And hopefully this
yeah.
doesn't last until 2024 for sure.
Yes. I don't think anyone can handle that. Yeah.
No. So are you seeing a difference in the way authorities are handling the situation in Malaysia versus Australia?
So from what I've been reading on the news and also my own personal experience here in Malaysia, it seems like authorities in Australia are a bit more flexible in their approach compared to Malaysia. For example, you're still allowed to go out to exercise in Australia, whereas in Malaysia, technically you can't leave your house unless you have a really valid reason to be outside. And there have been lots of cases where there have been some concerns as well in Malaysia where people who have violated the order, like the movement control order or MCO, have been arrested and sent to jail. And the way they've been treated has raised some concerns, especially since there isn't any clear guideline on what constitutes violating the order or being outside of your house. So is it your house compound, or is it right within the four walls of your house, for example? So yeah. But nevertheless, I think authorities in both countries seem to be doing a very good job in enforcing these stay-at-home measures and containing the virus so far.
Good, and I hope they do, a good job and continue with it.
Yeah.
So you've been leading our team of analysts to ensure that the special report that we have is updated daily on our portal. So from your perspective, what's it been like to monitor the situation from when the outbreak first started to China to where we are today with a pandemic?
So it has been surreal, really, because during the initial stages when we were covering the report and when it really the outbreak really started to spread in China, I did not expect to actually live through what we were actually covering. In fact, many of us did not expect the virus to spread as rapidly and as far and wide as it is today. In terms of covering the pandemic for the special report as well as in our alerts, it has been very hectic here at Riskline since February when the virus started to spread, really started to spread rapidly. In the initial stages, it was more of a rush to gather as much information as possible and put it out there for clients for them to be notified and to take note of. There was also a lot of tidying up and formatting to do once we realized the special report will be a major part of our work for the foreseeable future. Gradually, we began to refine our process, and through constant communication and discussion with other analysts, we have reached the stage where our special report is very well put together and is updated very regularly. Right now, our coverage of the pandemic has somewhat stabilized, as a number of countries have also reached their peak transmission rates, and we can see a flattening of the curve, so to speak, in many places. Nevertheless, staying on top of developments related to the pandemic is still priority number one for us here at Riskline, as the virus continues to affect the world.
And it's such a commendable job, I have to say. The team of analysts we have all around the world, amazing, really on top of things, and what a comprehensive report this is for our clients. It's a great, great value of what we have. So finally, my last question for you today, Aaron, coping strategies. What are you doing at home just to help you deal with this situation right now?
Okay. So I'm fortunate enough to live in a home which has an actual compound where you can walk around. We have a garden, so walking around the house, the compound with looking at the garden, for example, that sort of relieves some stress, being cooped up at home all the time. Additionally, we've been playing a lot of board games and card games with family members here. Risk and Monopoly are the two favorites, as they can drag on for hours, and it helps you pass the time. I also try to maintain regular contact with my close friends through video calls. We have had a number of weekend catch up and drink sessions, so that's been good to boost morale. And also exercising, working out at home helps relieve the stress of cabin fever. I haven't been doing, I should be doing more than I have actually, but that's another story. Yeah, and definitely last but not least, a lot of binge watching on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Yeah, that helps pass the time.
Virtual happy hour, things we never
Yes,
thought we'd be doing in
yes,
our lifetime, and here we are
exactly.
doing them.
I know. At least that's something to look forward to. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. A little, you
Yeah.
know, glimmer of hope on the weekends. So
Yep.
thanks so much, Aaron, for taking time today to come online with me and answer some of these questions. Take
No
care.
problem, Suzanne. Take care.
Bye-bye.